morning. Welcome to Agenda. I'm Ed Lingao sitting in for Cito Beltran. You're watching us via Cignal TV 8 and 250, One News PH Facebook and YouTube page, or via the Cignal Play app. You can also connect with us via SMS 0968 704 7736. Now, before we go to today's interviews, let's first take a look at the front page of the Philippine Star. President Duterte threatens the public that he would order the arrest of those who refuse to get vaccinated versus COVID-19. He advises them to leave the country if they do not want to receive the jab. However, Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara clarifies that there is no law that compels anyone to get vaccinated. He also explains that the president was merely using strong words. Meanwhile, Cebu Governor Gwendolyn Garcia scrapped her executive order and has now decided to align Cebu with the national protocols. Garcia says she did this in deference to President Duterte. And vaccine expert panel member Dr. Ronjin Solante says it is still not recommended to get a third vaccine shot, even with the threat of the more contagious Delta variant. Solante believes the normal dosage of vaccines should be able to protect the people. He adds that it is not yet proven if and how variants of concern reduce the efficacy of the vaccine. Okay, our first guest today was supposed to be somebody from the health department. However, we are making a quick shift. I understand our first guest for this morning will be from the Department of Interior and Local Government, Assistant Secretary Odilon Pasaraba. Asec Odilon, thank you for joining us and welcome to Agenda. Asec Odilon, I'm not sure if you're already on the line. Let's try it again. Asec Odilon, can you hear us? Okay, we're still trying to get that ironed out. We have several issues on the table, both for the DILG and the DOH. Among them, for example, with the DOH, we of course do want to talk about the Delta variant, which already is in the country, although there is no evidence yet of any local community transmission. However, news coming from India indicate that there is now what they call Delta Plus, which appears to be a more virulent strain of the Delta variant. So if the Delta variant is bad, well, let's see exactly what the Delta Plus variant is. Now, as far as DILG is concerned, we also want to talk about finally what is the final rule on face shields, especially on the use of face shields outdoors. Also, we also do intend to talk about the implementation of the vaccination program in several LGUs. Among them, of course, we are looking at the situation in Manila. Manila being much criticized for its refusal to do the vaccination by appointment or via master list. And apparently, we have heard some word from other LGUs that might be wanting to do the same thing as Manila. Now, Manila's already been given a warning of sorts from the IATF because of its refusal to abide by the rule on vaccination by appointment. Anyway, I think. Oh, now we have the health department on the line. Am I getting this right? Yes, I think the health department is now on the line. The health department confirms the detection of 4 more cases of the Delta variant. This raises the total number of Delta cases to 17 in the country. How is government preventing the possible spread of the more contagious variant? And to discuss this, we have Dr. Alethea de Guzman. She is the OIC-Director of the Department of Health Epidemiology Bureau. Dr. Alethea, thank you for joining us and good morning.
Magandang umaga po and apologies po for the tardiness, no. So gusto namin ipaabot na we were able not to detect these additional Delta variants because we have a strong biosurveillance capacity, no. So isabihin nakakapaghanap tayo, no, ng mga bagong mutations at variants. Pero ang gusto nating ipaabot mula sa departamento ay yung pagmamanage ng mga kaso na positibo sa Delta variant or any other variant of concern ay pareho lamang, no? Either clinically, sabihin kung paano pag na-ospital or kung tayo ay nagkasakit, ganun din ang pag-aalaga sa atin or pagmamanage sa atin. At ikalawa, yung response ng ating gobyerno ay pareho din, no? Epektibo ang ating minimum public health standards upang ma-prevent ang transmission ng mga variant na to. Epektibo po ang ating PDITR strategy para makontrol natin ang pagdami ng mga kaso at epektibo din po ang ating mga bakuna para ma-prevent kung tayo ay magkaroon ng infeksyon kahit na ang infection na to ay positibo po para sa variant of concern.
Okay. Doc Alethea, if it's okay with you, I'll do the basics muna po, no?
Sure.
You're looking at the Alpha, Bravo, Gamma, and the Delta variants. Of course, they were known as with different names before.
Yes.
Let's just call it the Alpha, Bravo, Gamma, and Delta. Ngayon po, tell me if I'm getting this right. As far as we know, as far as the WHO also knows, these variants are only more transmissible. They are not necessarily they don't necessarily create more severe symptoms. Tama ko ba?
Okay. So, una po, it's alpha, beta, gamma, and delta po. Ito po yung mga naririnig niya ng mga B117, B1351. Pero I think para nga po maging mas simple, no? Kaya po ginawa ng WHO ng nomenclature. Lahat po ito ang nakikita po na dahilan ng WHO kaya tayo tinawag na variant of concern. Inabanggit nyo nga po na mas transmissible po siya, no? And for the Delta variant, ang sinasabi natin kung dati, yung original na Wuhan virus mula sa isang tao, posibleng maka-infect siya ng mga 2 hanggang 3 tao. Ang Delta variant po posibleng hanggang 5 hanggang 8 tao. May iilan po ng mga variant of concern tulad po nung sa Beta at ito pong sa Gamma at sa Delta na ang isa po pong binabantayan ay yung potential na epekto po nila sa ating mga bakuna, yung tinatawag nating vaccine efficacy. So, epektibo pa po siya pero kung dati ang iginagawad na proteksyon ay 100%, posibleng 90 or 80% na lamang po. So ito yung dalawang bagay na kaya naging mga variant of concerns itong 4 na variant na ito.
Doc, I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to laymanize, you might say.
Yes.
I'm trying to laymanize things for ordinary people. Just to make it more tangible, I know you gave some figures kanina, pero just to make it a bit more tangible, for example, Delta variant, how much more transmissible is it compared to, sabi nga niya, yung original Wuhan virus more than a year ago, also compared to the Alpha and the Beta?
Yes. Okay, so
by how much po kaya?
Opo. So, ngayon po, para po usually tinatawag nila yung sa alpha, no, it's 60 to 70% more transmissible, no? Pero nung kung itatry natin, kumpara sa Wuhan, no? Pero kung itatry natin gamitin yung, kung familiar po tayo dun sa reproduction number, sabihin, kung ako yung kaso, ilan yung potential na dagdag na mai-infect ko po, no? Yung po yung nabanggit ko na sa Wuhan, baka nakakalawa lamang hanggang 3 ang potential na ma-infect ko. Pagdating po kay alpha variant, umaabot po yun ng 4 to 5, no? Pero pagdating po kay Delta, posibleng hanggang 5 hanggang 8 tao po ang posibleng ma-infecta ng iisa lamang na kaso ng Delta variant.
So would it be fair to say, I'm doing quick math here, but I'm hoping I'm doing it right. Would it be safe to say na compared to the original Wuhan virus, 4-fold possibly yung
in terms of
effectivity ng Delta kasi from 2 to 8 eh.
Yeah. And actually para din po maging parang on top siya, no? So ang alpha it's 60% more transmissible pero ang Delta it's around 60% more transmissible than the alpha. Yes po.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Not very good news here in the morning. well, Doc, sorry, but let me put it this way. I was reading the headlines kanina. I think it was in the Star or the Inquirer. Well, India was saying that they found evidence of what they now call Delta Plus. I don't know if you've seen that. I'm sure you have. But if Delta sounds bad, what's Delta Plus?
Okay. Yung pong the plus po minsan, it just means that there's an additional mutation. So in this case, the additional mutation identified po, ang effect po niya is yung tinatawag naming immune escape. Kumbaga, di ba, ang katawan po natin, when we get infected or if we get vaccinated, we develop antibodies.
Opo.
So, yung mga Delta Plus, meron daw dagdag na chance na kaya niyang i-evade, no? Hindi siya mahanap ng ating mga antibodies para po sila ay kalabanin, no? So, yun yung dahilan kaya may plus. There's an additional mutation to the parang original or yung tinatawag po nating Delta variant.
Mhm. Doc, is there a difference between immune escape and vaccine escape, or is immune escape a kind of vaccine escape?
We more often call it talaga po immune escape, no? Kasi the immunity can be through vaccine or it can be yung ito po, yung
Infection.
nagka-infection din po ako. So,
Mhm.
I think our researchers term it more appropriately as immune escape po.
Mhm. So in effect, bale, this Delta Plus appears to, but hindi pa confirmed, tama ba? It
Yes,
appears to be able to evade the effects of a vaccine or previous infection more than the original Delta variant. Kumbaga, mas
yes.
nakakalusot siya doon sa
Opo.
mga bakuna, for example.
Opo. For ang siguro tama po kayo, no, ito yung tuloy-tuloy, no, that something that we're continually studying. So pag tayo po kasi gumagawa ng whole genome sequencing, what we find first are what we call mutations. So itong mutation na to, ito yung nakikita nilang epekto po, no, dun sa bagong variant na ito. But for us to be able to prove that this is really the effect either clinically or public health ng isang variant or variant of concern, that's where the additional research and studies are being conducted po, no, by institutes or by WHO.
Mhm. I can imagine how difficult that must be kasi if I remember correctly, you would probably have a mutation once every 2 weeks, and it's been more than a year since the original variant came out.
Yes,
So you must have had multiple mutations as we went along, and these are progressive mutations. I mean, you have a new mutation, and then that mutation will have another mutation.
correct. No?
So, di ba?
Yes po.
It becomes a whole crowd of
Very,
mutations.
opo. Pero alam niyo po, tama po kayo, no? The natural, kumbaga, it's very natural for a virus to undergo these mutations, no?
Mhm.
And more often than not, the mutations are not actually negative, no? Wala
Mhm.
siyang epekto o di kaya wala siyang dagdag na masamang epekto.
Yeah, parang
Pero
benign, no?
itong mga, opo, very benign, no? Pero itong mga variants of concern natin at yung ilang na variants of interest, yung mga meron tayong binabantayan na posibleng negative na effect sa pangangatawan o di po kaya sa ating komunidad, no, or sa public health po natin. Kaya napakahalaga siguro one very important thing that we need to do so that we minimize the risk of new mutations and new variants occurring is really pushing the case numbers down. We
Mhm.
don't want to give this virus additional chances to replicate, to duplicate, and as such, magkaroon po ng mga dagdag pang mga mutations at mga bago pong variants.
Mhm. Because the more infections you have, the more mutations you get.
Correct po.
The
Tama po
bigger your
kayo.
population permutations. Opo.
Yes po.
Okay. Doc, a very common question for a lot of people, whether they've been vaccinated or not, is yung impact ng mga bagong variants, specifically yung Delta variant, doon sa mga bakuna. Of course, you are looking at a whole bunch of brands of
Yeah.
vaccines. And, well, I've been doing a bit of back reading, pero it's a bit ang gulo kasi some of their samplings are very small eh.
Yes,
The,
exactly.
the WHO update from June 8, nakakabigla kasi they were talking about teka, I'll read it para I'm not making a mistake here. Two recent studies provide evidence of reduced neutralization capacity of COVID-19 vaccines against variant Delta. One study found a 5.8 fold reduction in neutralization against Delta compared to reference strain in 159 samples. It's a small sample from individuals who received 2 doses of blank. I won't mention the brand na lang of blank vaccine. So you have a whole bunch of all these tests of vaccines to see how they rack up against the variants. What are we seeing in terms of vaccine protection against these new variants?
Um, I think much like these studies, you're right po. These are bagong mga studies po, no? Kaya kailangan dagdag pa, no? But the studies that we have do show that protective pa po ang ating mga bakuna. Kaya lang, ang kailangan po at nakikita nila na mas protective is kung hindi lamang iisang dose, subalit dalawang doses ng bakuna po ang maibibigay sa atin. No? So halimbawa, sa alpha variant, there's a certain brand is still effective at up to 92%. No? And for the Delta, there are brands that are effective up to 74% in one of those studies. So, may epekto po, di ba? At sinasabi nga natin that 74, that 94, 92% protection is better than the zero protection we
Zero.
get if we don't get ourselves vaccinated po.
But are we looking at any possibility or danger of diminishing returns
Mm.
in terms of the variants and the vaccines? I know you're saying it's better than zero, and it's still a
Yeah.
lot better than 50%, which is the
Yeah,
cutoff of WHO. But
you're right.
as we go along, are you looking at the possibility na pababa na pababa as we go along?
Of course, we really don't want that to happen. No? Kaya kasama dito yung pagbabantay. Ano ba yung mga epekto ng bagong variants po? And that's why it's very important that we get ourselves ahead of these variants. And kasi kaya yung ating vaccine deployment has been we want to push more people getting vaccinated every day, especially yung ating mga priority groups so that maunahan na po talaga natin itong mga variants of concern at maprotektuhan na po natin ang ating community, especially our health workers, our elderly, and the ones who have comorbidities po.
Okay. Doc, let me try to restate my understanding of what we discussed a while ago. Just tell me if I'm getting this right. These are medical issues. I'm not a doctor, but I ask you these para klaro tayo at klaro yung mga nanonood. So, if I'm getting this right po, may epekto, as far as we know so far, may epekto talaga yung variants doon sa efficacy ng vaccines. But the studies have been conducted pa lang on relatively small populations, and it's still better. I mean, the efficacy is still better than nothing at all.
Okay.
Tama ko ba?
Sa mga research po, meron po kaming tinatawag na kailangan statistically significant po siya.
Yes.
Kaya mahalaga po yung sinasabi nyo na mga paunang studies pa lang to, ito yung mga maliliit na study.
Small
So
samples.
ngayon, opo, no? Kaya yung mga nakikita nating mga bagong findings, kailangan talaga lumaki pa yung sample size at dagdagan po siya para ma-determine, no? Ang term siguro is we can conclude or we can really establish that these variants of concern really have potential effects on our vaccine efficacy. Pero sa ngayon nga po, dalawang bagay yung nakikita natin, potential talaga, no? May epekto siya. Pero kung anumang epekto po or posibleng pagbaba ng vaccine efficacy na nakikita natin, hindi po siya sapat para sabihin natin hindi na po epektibo ang ating mga bakuna. Epektibo pa rin siya, lalo na po kung if you get the 2 doses of that vaccine.
Well, I think that's important to emphasize that kasi at this particular point in time, you see a lot of people, especially on social media, comparing notes. I mean, ano yung bakuna mo? Ito yung brand ko. Wala yan. Nabasa ko sa Facebook na ganito kalaki ang binaba ng efficacy niyan kumpara sa Delta variant o sa Alpha variant o sa Beta variant. So people have been doing that. I mean, like it or not, people have been doing that. They've been comparing notes and they've been saying this brand appears to be better than that brand. What do you say to I won't even call it an argument. I'll just say it's a behavior.
I think it's common for people to compare things, right? And we always want something better for us, no? Pero right now in our scenario na limitado po talaga ang ating mga bakuna, dalawang bagay po ang in-ensure natin bago tayo nagbigay ng mga EUA. Una, safe ang bakuna po natin. Apologies, safe ang bakuna. At ikalawa, nabanggit nyo nga po, siya po ay pumasa no, doon sa minimum na efficacy na sinet ng ating WHO. No? So, yun po yung dalawang bagay na mahalaga at siguro tandaan din natin, ang gusto natin parang sa ngayon sa ating bakuna is yung ma-prevent tayo from getting ill severely or critically. No? Dahil yun po yung ating nakikitang benepisyo sa ngayon nitong mga bagong bakuna. May iilan kasi na posibleng magkaroon pa rin tayo ng mild or asymptomatic infection, pero ang kanyang protection against severe or critical disease can reach from 90 to 100% po.
Okay. Doc, sorry, ngayon ko lang napansin, we're supposed to go into a break pala for a few minutes. If you don't mind, can you stay on the line? We'll just have a 1-minute break and then we'll come back po.
Sure po.
Welcome back to Agenda. I'm Ed Lingao sitting in for Cito Beltran. And still with us is Dr. Alethea de Guzman from the Health Department's Epidemiology Department. Ma'am, thank you for joining us. Well, I have to tell you, thank you for making it so much more understandable for ordinary people. That's the difficulty in talking about medical terms.
Yes po, the jargons and the technical terms.
Yeah. But Doc, let me just review a bit of what I picked up from you kanina, just for clarity and just to make sure that we got it right. So yung Delta variant compared to the original Wuhan virus would be more or less 4 times more infectious or transmissible. Kasi from an R0 of 2 ng original Wuhan, possibly up to 8 yung R0 kung kumalat yung Delta variant. Tama po, no? Am I getting it right?
It can be from 5 to 8 po, yung R0.
From 5 to 8. Okay, it's a range. Okay.
Yeah.
With that in mind, do we have enough safeguards as it is against the Delta variant, considering